So yesterday the wallpaper arrived that I'd ordered online, which is excellent. I hadn't realised it was blown vinyl when I ordered it, but that'll be okay. So that'll go away. Now, challenge is, John's going to be home in about 5 hours. Can I get this whole wall wallpapered? Up there, behind there, before he gets home. Need to drag this bed and everything under it, move the bedside tables, hoover all behind there, and wallpaper before he gets home. Challenge on. Well, that's an hour and a half gone and I haven't hung a piece yet. But I have dragged the bed even, and everything else out the way, and I've hoovered and dusted behind there and had to evict a few rather large spiders to the garden. But I'm all set up. I've got my first drop measured, ready to cut and paste, and I'll show you what you did. I do all the wallpaper in this house. John does the plaster, and then I come along and I slap paper on, or slap linen paper on, and it's what I've always done. So I'll just take you along and show you what I do. You know what, I'm starting to think I should call this Vlogtober 101 things you can do with the dining table. This is a really old dining table. This is my mum's old one. So all I'm going to use is paintbrush, sharp kitchen knife, an old sharp kitchen knife, pair of scissors, screwdriver for removing socket fronts a little bit, paste, which I know I've got in a Pyrex dish. I couldn't find a bucket that was clean or unused, so I'm using a Pyrex dish because it can be washed in the dishwasher later. Old tea towel and my wallpaper. Okay, what I'm going to do is I've marked the length with just a little, I don't know if you can see that, a little snip with a pair of scissors. I just held it up against the wall and marked it at the bottom of the wall, where above the skirt, just below the top of the skirting board. This is the rest of the roll. Now I'm going to fold it back on itself, where that line is, and line up the sides of the paper over there. I should be doing this the other way around, but never mind. And then crease it. Get a big kitchen knife. This is why I'm doing this. I'm doing this with my left hand. It should be my right. And just slice along that fold with the kitchen knife. No faffing around with scissors. And then I'll put that to one side. I'm gonna just check this paper's the right way up. Yeah. So that's top. I'm gonna roll this back the other way. I learnt to wallpaper, helping my dad when I was little. We moved quite a bit, and so we were wallpapering rooms quite a lot. So I learnt just basically by helping out. Me and my brother both did. And when I lived with my first husband, he wasn't very handy at all. So I did the wallpapering then. And then when my first husband moved out, I was a single parent for 7 years and living on my own, obviously, with the kids. So I had to do all the decorating then too. So it's just kind of my thing to do the decorating. Now I'm not sure if I'd trust John to do the paper, and maybe I would. I mean, his wallpaper was perfectly fine at his old house as well, so. But he does most of the big renovation type jobs with just a bit of input from me. So this is kind of my part of the renovation job, is doing the decorating. So I'm on a little table, as you can see. You don't need a big trestle. So I've pasted down to sort of like here. So now I'm going to fold it on itself. And I'm sure a decorator will tell you, whoa, you're not supposed to do that. But I've always done this. I've left a little bit at the top, and I've made sure where my paste line is not over where the folds are of the paper. So I'm not folding the paper. It's just kind of gently kind of laid, just rounded. So now I'm going to paste a bit more. This brush, the bristles are a fraction long, but it'll do. They're too long for painting with, I think. But it's fine for pasting. This paste is actually really, really thick. A lot thicker than I would normally use it, but according to the packet, this is the mix ratio for heavy papers and blown vinyl. So again, I'm just going to take paper and gently lay it there. We're getting a bit of a pile here. Paste the next bit. Bet you didn't think you're going to get a DIY tutorial watching this Vlogtober video. This strip's going to be the hardest one to fit. The first one always is, but actually, because I'm buttoning this right up to the architrave on the bedroom door frame, which I know is plumb from the previous time I wallpapered in there, I don't have to worry about putting up a plumb line or make sure it's vertical or anything like that, because I already know it is. But there is a light switch and a double electrical socket I need to cut around. They're both on this same drop, but after that it's just straight drops all the way along the wall, which is excellent. Although in some ways I wish there was another socket, because we could do with it on that wall, but it'll be fine. So that's that pasted, so I've got to leave that for a minute or two. And normally if I was doing lining paper I would measure the next drop, but because this is a pattern paper I need to hang this first to match up the pattern for the next drop, so I can't pre-measure it. So now it's just a case of go and find something else to do for 2 minutes and then hang this strip. As I've carried it through, I've hung the loops over my fingers so that it doesn't just drop and drag on the floor, and now I'll put this up on the wall. I may need a chair. Now that I'm up here, I can let the fold start to drop down, provided I don't let it drag on the floor. And I'm just going to butt it up to the architrave. I only need the chair for this top wee bit because I'm not quite tall enough. I just keep lifting it back and guiding it into place. And I probably won't use that tea towel because it's a blown vinyl. I don't want to damage the texture. I'll just use my palms to flat it off. So I've got my first light switch here. So my scissors, I'm going to find the light switch. I'm going to use my fingers just to press on where the corners are to mark where the socket, where the front is. Make little dints on the paper, and I get my scissors and make a hole in the middle of those 4 points, and then I'm going to cut an X in the paper to those 4 corners. I'll bring the camera closer. So I've marked those 4 corners like that by pressing on my thumbs and fingers, and I'm just going to, I've cut the 2 of the lines, I'm just going to cut the other 2 to those points. I'm struggling with the texture of this paper to see where it is, but I can feel where those dimples are with my fingers. I'm going to need to cut that a wee bit further, those, so I don't tear the paper. It's a little tricky when the switch is so close to the architrave here, because there's not much paper between the end of the cut and the wall. So I'm just going to ease that into position around the switch. And then work my way down the paper, lifting it up back off the wall, avoid getting any creases in it till I get to the next switch. So we seem to be running over a wee bit onto the architrave, so I'm just going to lift it gently up and just guide that back into straight, into line, because I know that's plumb, that's vertical. I'm going to work my way down that edge, and then I'm going to lift that up a wee bit and just ease out any bubbles or creases. Sometimes if you're working on a piece that has lots of fiddly bits like switches, the edge can get a bit dry in spots and start lifting, like it is there. It's already drying out. So what I'll do is, after I've cut all the cuts, I'll come back in with my paste brush and just lift the edge and run the tips of the brush under there and stick it back down. I can feel a little bubble there. There we go, that's gone. That edge needs a bit of paste too. So now I've got to do the bottom switch. So now that it's kind of fitted but not quite finished, I'm going to cut off these extra bits of paper around this switch and the bottom switch. What I'm going to do is press that in really nice and tight, just with my thumb, around the socket front, or switch front in this case, just to mark. That one's going to be really tricky. Just to mark, in fact I'm going to have to use the back of my scissors for that one, to mark where the edge of the socket front is. Now what you can do, if you're feeling nervous, is just cut those off very carefully with either a really sharp craft knife, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo these screws and tuck the edge of this behind, and because I'm going to do that, I'm going to cut these bits off a fraction longer. I'm going to cut the bits here, I'm going to leave a little bit extra on, just a couple of millimetres, so that could tuck behind the switch front. So I'm just going to ease it forwards gently, because you'll tear your paper, and just snip that off. That one's going to be a pain, I might have to use a Stanley knife for that one. In fact, if I remember rightly, this switch front is a bit of a pain as well to the wire. The screws on this don't marry up with the holes on the back very well, so I'm going to have to be really careful. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that one. I'm going to have to use a Stanley knife for that one. So now I need to get my screwdriver. Okay, I've got my screwdriver. I'm going to loosen these off a wee bit. Oh yeah, this one's a pain in the butt, I remember. And I'm just going, I've only loosened off a wee bit, I'm not taking it off, I'm just going to gently, very carefully, tuck that paper behind the switch front. I'm not sticking my screwdriver back there, I don't want to electrocute myself. Just tucking it in with it. And just at the top here. last little bit to do, all along the bottom. You get the pair of scissors and score with the back of your scissors. Top of the skirting board. Peel it back, a bit tricky with the socket there. Peel it back and cut along that line. Just be sure when you're measuring your drops, give yourself a little bit of extra leeway at the bottom when you measure it. Give yourself an extra inch or so of paper, even if it means having to trim it off. Better that than cutting it short. There we go. So all I need now, I've wiped down my sock up front after doing that one, because getting dry wallpaper paste off is a pain in the butt. So I've just got to cut off that little extra bit around the light switch, get my paintbrush and run it around the edge where it's dry, and then I can put the next piece on. That's it, hardest one done. Next drop, line up the pattern, mark it at the bottom, and away we go. There we go, all done, all finished. I even managed to get it done before 5 o'clock. It's 1:45. Unfortunately, John came home early, so I didn't get it finished before he came in, but never mind. You can see over there where I've wiped off excess paste with a damp cloth off the wall where I had to go around the corner.